He had a confidence about him that few others have.
He was the kind of leader who got his hands dirty with the work. You know, if you ever shook his hand, you noticed it was calloused. He was not behind a desk every day. He was most comfortable if he was out riding in the groves or if he was on horseback with the cattle.
One of the cowboys came up to me and said, you know, other places aren't like this. The boss man's not in the cow pens with us. The boss man's not riding horses with us. I was just old enough to say, I want somebody to say that about me one day.
He just believed people should be involved. And I do think he made an impact on people.
I would say that he was inspired by the beauty of God's hand in everything that we're fortunate enough to be a part of as farmers and ranchers.
I respected the way he thought, thought things through. He was never quick to come to a judgment or never quick to come to an answer, whether it was at board meetings or out here. He always took all the facts in before making a decision.
You just felt like when he came in the room, okay, now we can get started, now everything's gonna be good.
Will was my uncle. My great-grandfather started our company. My grandfather ran our company, and then Will ran our company, and I had the privilege of working with Will.
He was certainly somebody I looked up to. He was a leader in Farm Bureau's Young Farmer and Ranchers program and inspired me. He was certainly an essential part of our family farm operation. Whatever I didn't learn from Daddy, I learned from Will.
Well, when I joined the Farm Bureau Board, Will was the president, and I was very impressed with his leadership style. He was very respectful of everybody on the board and their opinions. Even though he was 20 years my junior, he was a mentor to me.
Will was the president of the Young Farmer and Rancher organization at that time and served as a consummate example of what someone in that leadership position should be, how they should conduct themselves and carry themselves. And a couple of years after that first meeting and after his encouragement, I became the president of the Young Farmer group as well, and certainly always remembered his impact and what he did for me, and as well as the rest of those who were serving as young farmers at the time. But his leadership ability is second to none.
And he certainly rose through the ranks as in Florida Farm Bureau and then on the American Farm Bureau YFR committee. Will was a real leader among a group of leaders because of his leadership style.
To know Will, he was a very quiet person. He didn't really come out of his shell until he knew you. He was somebody who would not speak unless he had something important to say, and when he had something to say, everybody would listen. Like any family farm operation, it's not really a matter of balancing, it's a matter of blending. I mean, it's all one, and Courtney and Robbie and Buddy grew up in that pickup truck, checking droves and checking heifers, and Will was devoted to all of their activities. He seldom missed a game. He was often helping the coaches. It was 24/7 family, and that included raising his family and taking care of the family farm.
I think his influence on me as a father is want to never miss anything. And my daughter Paisley has soccer teams. She has gymnastics after school. I just remember that feeling of always being able to look over in the bleachers or most of the time into the dugout or the coach's box and seeing him there and what that meant to me, and definitely gave me a great compass to make sure that I'm doing the same thing for my daughter.
He always put us first, but I do think he was very proud of being the Young Farmer and Rancher National Chairman. I think it was different for him to get to put on a suit and tie every day and feel that respect of people wanting to know what his thoughts were and on the issues. And I think he loved those days.
He was comfortable talking to elected officials and to regulators. He was able to explain agricultural issues in a way that somebody who was 3 and 4 generations removed from a farm would get it.
Dad didn't open up very often. He was open with his family, very fun, goofy. He was like that with the Cowboys, and he was like that around his friends with Farm Bureau. And so they got to see a side of him that a lot of people didn't know. And I think that led to the camaraderie that he started with Polk County YF&R, and some of the people he was able to bring that otherwise wouldn't have become involved with Farm Bureau.
He got the YF&Rs together and they did Christmas hay rides through the Christmas lights of Bartow. And they got the flatbed trailer and the bales of hay, and they'd have music, and they sold hot cocoa. And I think that was the genesis of the additional funding that the YF&R started creating that led to a scholarship for high school seniors interested in agriculture. And I think it's really fitting that now that's known as the Will Putnam Scholarship.
He would have been a great leader today. He would have been an inspiration to this industry, citrus, and the cattle industry. It's had its ups and downs too, and he loved cows.
So rooted in resilience, I certainly think that talks a lot about agriculture, particularly citrus growers.
He is the model of that, because to me, when I think of rooted in resilience, Will comes to mind.
Being resilient is what we do every day. I'd like to think that Will would be proud that our family is still in the citrus business, that we're still planting trees today. We have young new blocks that we're planting and fighting this disease that Will started fighting and that we're continuing to fight and continuing to be resilient in this industry.
He's left a legacy in his family in particular, and all those that knew him, that we're going to stick this thing out, and we're going to survive and maybe even flourish.
And that's who Will is. And if anybody were to deserve this award, it would be him because of those reasons. He deep-rooted in his family, deep-rooted in agriculture, and that's what this organization stands for, and that is Will Putnam.
He was a wonderful example of what a true gentleman should be.
This farm cares because we've been in business a long time, and we hope to be in business that much longer or more. We all have children. We hope to get involved in the business and just keep carrying it on for as long as it will go, hopefully in the citrus business as well as the cattle business.
I think receiving the Distinguished Service Award would be a huge honor to him, but I also believe he was such a humble person that he would feel there were many other people more deserving than him. But he had a great love for agriculture and put everything he had into it.
I think that came with a lot of respect for him as a person, for him as an agriculturalist, the respect for his family, and just respect for his wife. I wholeheartedly revere the two of them, and just the opportunity to be supportive the way he was supportive to me meant a lot.
I think the Distinguished Service Award would absolutely mean the world to him. I'm not sure that he would let any of us know that. He would probably sheepishly tell us to give it to somebody else and tell us how he didn't want it. He didn't want the attention. But I know when we got home, he would definitely voice what an honor it was, but he didn't like credit for the things that he did, that's for sure.
I think Will is deserving of the Distinguished Service Award because of how he represented not just Farm Bureau, but the farmers in Polk County. Kind of going back to what I said, you have to have that voice, whether it's at your county commission or on the state or national level, and he was that voice for a lot of us that got to stay back and work on the farms.
So to me, Will absolutely personifies the phrase distinguished service throughout his life. On behalf of Polk County Farm Bureau, thank you so much for your acknowledgement of Will Putnam with this 2022 Distinguished Service Award.